Are you ready?
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
You know, they have those nerds clusters, which is new. Yeah, which is good.
10-5, touchdown!
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
What are we doing?
Why all the long faces? We're not dead yet.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
All right. Welcome to Press Box After Dark. Today is Thursday. Leave it all in. December 12th. And boys, we have a college football playoff bracket, and there are 12 teams, and it's glorious. I can't wait.
Not enough.
Not enough. Landon, how you doing, buddy? What do you want? You want like 32 or
No,
what
give me
do you
24 FCS playoffs. It's a proven model. All the conference champions get in. RIP to ACU. Had a good run. Lost to North Dakota State. Who will win this year? Probably not, actually.
No, South Dakota State's really good, but also they had a lead for a while, like a good lead. For a
Yeah,
while.
and then they realized what championship football is all about.
Well, scratch them. Cam, how you doing? Can you see through the water?
I'm doing all right. Yes, my apartment flooded this weekend. Yes, we are back.
Damn it, Game Ops.
They said that the damage wasn't bad enough for them to come in and do extensive repairs. So I don't know if that means I'm breathing in black mold or mildew or anything like that, but I'm here.
Is the two-bladed fan still there?
It's here.
Dang it.
He looks
I had
up
to
first.
check. I had to check. Let me just make sure.
From one flood to the next. Herod, how you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, man. A couple hours before we jumped on to record, we flooded about a quarter of our house, so that's it's a good time. But we got it all cleaned up, and the show goes on.
Oh my God, that stupid fan!
Flooding in North Carolina and Texas. The slow tilt up to the two-bladed fan.
It's just so
the
weird.
weirdest
It's
fan I've ever
bad.
seen,
It's
guys.
so bad.
It just is.
Yeah.
Jackson,
Well, because
why is
you
your name
know,
Jackson Arnold?
you know,
Can you give us a
Mississippi
little bit
State
more?
has quarterback controversy right now in the portal, which I don't know why we have quarterback controversy in the portal, but by God, we're here. And yesterday it was like, oh, it's a lock. He's coming to Mississippi State. And then news broke right before we got on the podcast that he's going to go visit Auburn, but then he's also going to come back and visit us, even though apparently he hasn't visited us yet. So it's really weird. But also, I just saw a tweet as well that Malik Murphy at Duke is also going to visit Auburn and Miami. So I guess Hugh Freeze last year went from not getting a quarterback when everybody said, hey, Hugh, go get a quarterback because Peyton Thorne's kind of mid. And he's like, nah, we're good. To this year in the portal, Hugh Freeze is like, you know what? If you're a quarterback, come to Auburn. And even if you're not a quarterback, come to Auburn. Because it seems like every single big-time recruit that's hit the portal, they're somehow getting a visit to Auburn, which is crazy. But that's the world we live in college football. So maybe Jackson Arnold becomes a Mississippi State Bulldog. Maybe I drive into traffic. I don't know.
Clarify, it's the sad college football.
Yeah, I'm just
world.
trying to break an SEC losing streak. It's 12 games long right now.
Of all of the rest of the people on here who have mediocre football teams, yours is
And I
far
wear
away
it.
the
I wear
worst
it.
of that
I wear
bunch.
my heart on my sleeve. That's how bad we are.
Not a lot of teams your guys are beating.
Hunter, good coaching goes a long way. My team has used 6 quarterbacks in 2 seasons, 18 wins.
Your team.
Yeah.
My team blames their quarterback for everything. If gas
Yeah,
prices
Herod.
go up tomorrow, it's Quinn Ewer's fault.
Yeah, Herod's got the best quarterback situation of all of us. It's awesome.
It's unbelievable.
Just got a Manning sitting back there.
Yeah, an athletic one. Hey, fun fact before we jump into this. I saw a career college rushing yards for Eli, Peyton, and Arch. Anybody want to take a
Gotta
guess
be
at
Arch.
who the leader in the clubhouse is?
Yeah,
March.
I saw that. The other two are
Peyton and
negative.
Eli both have negatives. Like
And
negative
it's
triple
not-
figures.
I was gonna say it's not even -5 or -10. It's like -150.
It's tough.
Peyton always said he wanted to get to
So
positive
bad.
yards in his NFL career, and he never could do it.
Poor guy.
All right, let's pause because
Oh,
Landon's mic sucks. So let's get that fixed. Leave it in.
And
Most of the time, Cameron, it's user error.
I
because I
talk
showed
loud
up
enough to where I don't need a microphone, but yet Landon
That ain't
still
no
got
question.
me one. So here we
No
are.
question.
Yeah,
when we're
I'll
back.
blame it on me since I showed up.
Hunters might as well be a megaphone.
Maybe.
Hunter is the blurriest person ever every time we do
But you
this.
see, when I upload the videos to YouTube, I look like just like you guys.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still ugly, but I mean, it's still there. Like
Well,
I'm
Yeah, we
clear.
can't help that.
I done dig dang uploaded
That's the
that there
power
to
of
the
Riverside.
Google machine on the
Sponsored.
YouTube.
See, now you make me sound like Boomhauer.
You are Boomhauer.
All right.
But when we upload this, can you add hair for me?
I'm not that magical.
All right, I'll call Glenn.
He's a
Yeah, call
podcast
Glenn.
producer, not a miracle worker.
All right. Now we're good.
No,
Who's-
we just continued.
Oh, yeah,
on.
for
We just
sure.
continue on.
When
We
we
just cut out the
started
part.
re-recording, yeah, all this nonsense. We'll just leave it in.
Zach, run me through
Who's-
what we're doing here.
New Glenn.
Well, I don't really know. I'm just here. I just introduced this thing. I think we're going to talk a little college football playoff, though, right, Hunter?
Okay.
We are. Here's the thing: is once again another episode goes by, another agenda goes out, and no one reads it. So here we are, guys. We are.
I had some things going on today. Huh?
I understand that. I feel bad. Everybody is in trouble
Hunter,
for not reading the agenda,
didn't
except for
have-
Jordan.
Have anything going on, and I still didn't read it, so suck it.
Hey, your mic sounds great, though.
Hey, look at that.
Look at that.
Crazy how it works, eh?
No, but we are Press Box After Dark. This is episode, I think this is episode 11 now of our podcast because I got our episodes wrong in our trivia episode. So sorry
did.
about that to our Lord.
Hey, I do know that people are listening because one guy told me, listen, I don't know if you guys are confused, but episode 10 that you introduced was actually episode 9.
Yeah, behind the curtain scene, we were supposed to film another episode after that, and then we all were too tired, and Jordan's like, I'm going to bed. And then everybody was like, that sounds like a great
Jordan's
idea.
wife was like, you're not starting another
Yeah.
pod.
And also, the person who numbers the episodes of this group is Hunter, so we're screwed.
Yeah, I can't
mean,
count anyway,
That's a
so
good point.
it's all right.
We're really in dangerous territory now because he can't use his fingers anymore.
So, but we are Press Box After Dark. This is episode 11 of our Press Box After Dark podcast. We do sports talk, we do trivia, we do drafts, we do a little bit of everything, just bringing our sense of humor to the world of sports. You can catch us on Spotify and Apple Music. That's at Press Box After Dark. We are on YouTube, and we have actually gotten some subscribers since the last episode. So shout out to all the people who subscribe. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It costs $0. It's completely free. Helps us out so much. Please subscribe. That's at Pressbox After Dark. You can find all of our podcasts on YouTube. Landon's jumping in. What you got?
Everything is free, by the way. Just, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's
You get what you pay for, and people get what they pay for with this pod. It's a free pod
Well,
for that reason.
honestly, we should probably pay them.
We should
Yeah.
probably pay people. If you listen, Landon will send you a penny
But-
in the mail.
But YouTube, if you're listening, sponsor us.
That would be great if we could find a way to do that. But we are on YouTube. That's at Pressbox After Dark. Please subscribe. You can catch us also on Twitter. That's at PressboxAD. Give us a follow there on Twitter too. We're interacting with a bunch of people. Made a lot of impressions over the weekend with the college football playoff bracket being dropped. Give us a follow if you think we're funny and you like a tweet or you retweet us. Give us a follow. Come on, just do it. Hit the button. We appreciate it. But no, we are Press Box After Dark, and this is a sports talk episode. We're following up our last sports talk episode with some more playoff football talk. But before we do that, the world of sports changed forever. And before we get into college football, I want to talk about this because Jordan's a big Major League Baseball guy. Cameron's a big Major League Baseball guy. Zach is as well. I'm more of a college baseball guy. Landon's just here. And we got to talk about what Juan Soto just did because he just broke the sports world with this new contract signing with the New York Mets. Jordan, I want you to lead us off here because you're our 3-up, 3-down guy for Major League Baseball. So what do you think of this contract? And did the Mets get a win here or did Juan Soto just screw them?
Yeah, 3-up, 3-down is going to be a lot of fun next week because I see both sides of this. I'm the guy that is always saying spend money, spend money, spend money. You want to have a good team, go get good players. That being said, I think I texted you guys as the news broke the other day that the previous record for a position player was 425 million. So that means the Mets went more than 300 million higher than that, and they didn't have to. So what's going to happen is it's going to reset the market. Vlad Guerrero is a free agent next year. He's licking his chops right now. He's the same age as Soto. He's going to be expecting a similar type of contract. For me, I don't love it. It seems like the Yankees and the Mets just kind of got into an ego contest between the owners. Steve Cohen has kind of FU money and threw it around. It makes his team a lot better. At some point, 15 years from now, when that contract expires, Steve Cohen may not still be owning the Mets. The Yankees, to me, came out of this thing on top. I think this opens up a lot of payroll flexibility. You're looking at potentially Cody Bellinger, Jerks and Profar, Christian Walker. There's a lot of dudes right now that can help the Yankees. Max Fried, we saw signed a couple hours ago. They're going to get better because they have that money to spend, and they didn't spend it all on one player. Yeah, I'm going to elaborate a whole lot more on that in 3 Up, 3 Down. But to be honest, man, I'm not a huge fan of it from the Mets perspective.
Who was the previous record?
Trout.
Oh, it was Trout. Okay, for a position player.
What we used to call a player, now we have to refer to as a one-way player.
Right.
It was Mike Trout.
Yeah.
But for me to give Juan Soto more money than what Shohei Ohtani got, I mean, is nothing short of absurd.
I really thought for sure it'd be the Yankees. And it sounds like they offered him, what was it, one more or one less year or
one less year. And the rumor that keeps floating around Twitter, and I don't know how much truth there is to this, but the Yankees apparently, Juan Soto wanted a suite for his family, and the Yankees shot it down and said Aaron Judge and Derek Jeter pay for their suites, which is even more absurd. But they said if Aaron Judge and Derek Jeter are paying for theirs, then you have to pay for yours. And allegedly Steve Cohen said, all right, well, we got all the suites you want over here in Queens. So, you know, I think from the very beginning, I thought it would be the Mets. And as the season wore on, I kind of thought he would stay with the Yankees. But the Mets got a really good player, but he's going to be a DH, man. He's a very average fielder. He's never won an MVP. He had a career year in home runs because he played at a high school stadium. I just think that there's better moves out there. I think the Yankees are about to make them.
He better stay healthy for them.
Mm-hmm. And it should be easy because he's never going to play the field after 2026.
Yeah, that's an insane contract. I can't even comprehend it. And Shohei did his so well.
I would like to remind people, by the way, of once upon a time, a guy named Giancarlo Stanton was regarded as this, oh my God, once-in-a-generation hitter. And the Marlins paid him, traded him to the Yankees. And that guy is a shell of himself. He can't run to first base without getting hurt. He's a strikeout machine. He plays awful defense, worse than he ever has because he can't move. I think Juan Soto is the same thing, but he's left-handed. And maybe even with less power than Stanton had at that point.
Yeah, Stanton's power was dumb.
And the thing for me is it's so much money that, like, even
a lot
if
of money for one dude, man.
Even if he keeps up with the pace somewhat and is like a solid player, like, it's incredibly difficult to just keep that value over 15 years.
Yeah.
I just don't see.
Mike Trout's a good example of that.
Right. I mean, Mike
Trout can't play 60 games a year anymore.
Right. And I, you feel for Trout because that's a little bit of a different situation. When he's been healthy, he's been great.
Sure.
But yeah, Soto's what, 25, 26?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's got a deal through 40. That's crazy, man.
With no deferred money. I was actually kind of surprised by that part. I thought we'd see a lot of deferred money.
Yeah, that was my first question. How much of this is going to be deferred? Because that's the new fad, is paying deferred money.
The first time I remember a contract of a length that was insane to me was Albert Pujols when he went to the Angels right after winning the World Series with St. Louis. And I just thought, is he going to be that good for that long? You know, because he was kind of older.
And 3 years into that contract, he fell apart.
The length of these contracts is wild to me. How do you know? It's just,
Listen, a lot of people have critiqued the Astros for a long time because their owner has said, we are not going more than 5 years on a contract for a ball player. Because you can't predict what's going to happen 5 years from now.
In any sport, you shouldn't do that.
No.
So
the Rangers got Prince Fielder and he broke his freaking neck.
I mean, I guess Mahomes might be the only one that made sense, but
so I want to look at this at a little bit of different point of view. From a private equity standpoint, which is backing a lot of these teams. This is going to be weird, but
this outside money by these private equity teams or investing into teams. I'm looking right now. There are 64 North American sports teams. Now that's across all the leagues that have over $164 billion in private equity backing. And so I'm curious if there's some of that going on that they're actually setting up for a sale later on to these private equity. And without getting too much into the weeds of it, but I just think that might be a play that they're saying, okay, we're deferring this to whenever that sale happens, and we'll come back with it whenever that money's there. So
yeah, Hunter, what do you think about that?
Well, I honestly I do have one. I have like my first opinion on this when I saw the contract break is that for me, I'm more concerned about how the Mets are going to pay the Grimace because he was the difference this year for the Mets. And now that you're paying Juan Soto this much, I don't know if you can afford the Grimace.
When you pitch it that way, what Grimace did for them last year, what Soto might be able to do for 51 a year seems a little bit more important.
Private equity, if you're listening.
Sponsor.
Private equity, if you're listening.
So sorry, I'll turn. My
I understood half of what
brain
you
off.
just said, Landon.
I'll turn my banker brain off when we get back to sports. Sorry, guys.
Well, I mean, you probably just gained us a bunch of listeners there by going.
At some point, though, like
Hashtag sports finance.
at some point, you have to consider every year in the NFL, so and so is the next highest paid guy. It happens every year in every sport. Corey Seager's making $32.5 million, and he gets to take home $32.5 million every year because he plays in a state that doesn't have income tax.
Right.
Juan Soto, New York, dude, he's going to see half of that if he's lucky.
And
Which
Hunter
is
died.
still a lot of money.
Hunter is no longer with
Oh,
us.
there he is. He's back.
Sorry, that Arkansas Wi-Fi is brutal, boys.
Grainy screen and all. Let's talk football, boys.
Let's.
Am I still on or am I out of here?
You're back, Hunter. You're fine.
Okay, good. I can hear you guys. It was buffering for a while, and so yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll ask this one question before we get talking about football. Who is the first $1 billion athlete, like contract wise?
I think you'll see it in soccer with the Saudis soon. But in the three major American sports, it'll be baseball. I saw that Soto contract is worth more than LeBron James and Tom Brady's combined career earnings. Play baseball, boys and girls. Yeah, it'll be baseball, and it's somebody that we haven't heard of yet.
Did you see Darren McFadden's tweet? He was like, I should have learned how to hit a ball instead of
Hit the gap. Yeah, I did see that. I love Darren McFadden.
That was pretty good from him. Yeah, I did like, I did see like parents nowadays that they're forcing their kids to only play one sport. And in my head, I'm like, that's so terrible. Just let the kids play sports. And then this happens. I'm like, you know what? Maybe they should just focus on playing baseball.
Just a kid from the Dominican, man. $2 million might have changed his whole family's life. And now he's got $750 million.
I do want to make this pitch, though, before we move on. Juan Soto, if you ever listen to this podcast, give us $1,000 each. Because what is that going to cost you? Like 5 cents. Give us $1,000. Let us invest $1,000 each, $5,000. Let us invest that and to help grow in this thing. And we will be the #1 Juan Soto podcast in all of the world.
Yeah, what is that? One at bat?
Yeah, it's probably not even an at bat. It's him walking to the on
deck. It's like an hour.
Yeah, it's like an hour.
My favorite part was the Yankees fans that were burning the jerseys, even though the Yankees jerseys don't have names on them. So they were just burning number 22 jerseys for no reason at all.
Who else wore 22 there?
I do want to say something really quick about Juan Soto because this whole contract thing, it just reminds me, because I'm a Braves fan, I just have specific memory of this. Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna Jr. were in the same rookie class. And, of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. won the Rookie of the Year that season. And, I mean, they were both head-to-head. They were just far and away the best rookies that season. And their contracts just went down two very different paths. The Braves saw the potential that Acuna had and essentially immediately extended him. I can't remember how far they extended him, but that was 2018. And I want to say they extended him for 10 or 11 years, but they got him at like 13 or 14 million per year because he was so young. And the Nats wanted to do the same thing with Juan Soto, but Juan
turned it
Soto, he turned it down. So, Juan Soto went through all the minimum years as a young player, and then finally got to where he is now with free agency, and it paid off for him in a massive way. But I just think it's interesting, the two different routes that you can take through your career in Major League Baseball. It's just very interesting. It's unlike any other sport.
It's great for that division, except the Marlins. It's great to
Right.
have Juan Soto and Bryce Harper, and it's Ronald Acuna. It's great to have all those guys in the same division. Makes for parity in the division.
And the winner in all of this is still Bobby Bonilla, because he's still getting paid for at least another 10 years?
10 more, yeah.
That's insane. That's still one of the craziest sports contracts of all time. That's absolutely
That's
insane.
a drop in the bucket now.
That's a drop in the bucket now. It's still the joke of like, oh, it's Bobby Bonilla Day, but like still, it's crazy that he's still getting paid. And so, but
The Dodgers have a whole team of them now.
basically,
She called it Dodger deferral. Day.
yeah.
Bro, I didn't realize this. They paid Teoscar Hernandez last offseason a 1-year contract that they're paying out over 10 years.
That's insane.
They're paying a 1-year contract out over 10 years.
Dude plays 1
So
year
each
and he's
year
going to get paid for
he's
10
making-
years.
And he's
He
going to get
10
another free agent deal. He's going to be getting paid from 2 teams.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, let's talk football.
All right, let's talk football. We had to talk Juan Soto because it literally broke sports. Never seen a contract that big before, but I'm sure somebody will beat it in our lifetime, probably within the next 5 years. But College Football Playoff Committee has given us a bracket. They have given us 12 teams. There's one team that's very angry. And there's 12 teams that are very happy.
I don't want to get into that one team tonight.
I want to say at least one thing about that one team tonight. But
here we go.
But we have a bracket. Zach, would you like to read off the bracket? This is the final standings for the College Football Playoff Committee. What is that?
That was.
I think that was
I don't
Landon.
know.
I heard somebody opening a bag of chips.
Landon did something.
Do you remember when the A's played the Giants and it was the
The earthquake. That's what it was.
That's what that sounded like. Where's Al Michaels?
This is our best podcast yet. So many technical difficulties.
Holy moly.
Zach, give us a look at this bracket here. Go through the first round and then go through the buys, and we're going to break this thing down a little bit. What was that?
That was what's happening.
That was Zach's Taylor Swift ringtone.
Was that music?
Zach's muted. There he is.
Somebody just turned my TV on in the basement and turned the volume up to 100.
It's China. There's
I love
China
your
on
wife.
this.
That sounds exactly like your wife. Zach's having some real difficulties.
Dude, this thing is. We already had one called "This Podcast Is Off the Rails." This one's going to be titled "The One with Technical Difficulties." Landon, do you have the technical difficulties sound? I think I sent it to you a couple of weeks ago. We need to add that in here somewhere.
Zach, do you need somebody else to read the bracket, or
I can read it if we need to.
There's a song called "Murder on the Dance Floor" on my TV right now.
It's a murder on the dance floor.
I gotta connect my phone here so I can turn this nonsense off.
we need more episodes with Cameron singing? This is now 2 in a row.
Hey, dude, that's Cameron's bit. He has to sing every episode now. Oh my God. Emily is pranking us is what it is. She is mad. So she texted me the other day and said that she wants to come on the podcast and do a Spotify rap and predict like what our Spotify rap would be for all of us individually.
I don't know that I want her to critique my life that way.
I don't think I do either, because the way she lit into Baylor, I can't.
Probably still our most viewed podcast.
I would actually be in for that. I got my Spotify rap the other day, and I'd like to hear her thoughts on our list.
If the song that you were in the music video for isn't in your top 5, then that's on you.
It is. It's number 2.
Hey,
I have a confession to make. Press Box After Dark was my second most listened to podcast.
You son of a bitch. We have to get our numbers up. Why are you not listening to it on repeat?
Okay, we have a bracket. Let's talk
about football.
Do we have a bracket, or is Murder on the Dance Floor about to interrupt it again?
No, I turned the TV off, so that's good. It'll turn back on here probably in 5 minutes. All right, so the number 1 seed is Oregon. They have a first-round bye. Georgia is number 2. They have a first-round bye. The 3 seed is Boise State. The 4 seed is Arizona State. Those 4 are off this weekend. So that means they await the winners of Arizona State. Will see either 5 seed Texas or 12 seed Clemson, that game in Austin. Oregon, a very tough path for the top seed. They either play number 8 Ohio State or 9 Tennessee. That game's in Columbus. 11 SMU is at 6 Penn State. The winner plays Boise State. And the Battle of Indiana is 10 seed Indiana at 7 seed Notre Dame. Winner plays Georgia. So first round is at the higher seed host site. The quarterfinals are at the specified bowl locations. And then you have your semis and the national championship. So we have it, our first ever 12 team.
Here's my first thought on this. And we said this in our last podcast, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the committee got it right. Whether Alabama or Ole Miss or South Carolina want to say that they got it wrong, and even if you were to line them up on the field and play in a hypothetical game, I'm probably picking Alabama, I'm picking Ole Miss, and I'm picking South Carolina to beat SMU. You cannot discredit that they went 11-1 in the regular season, and they lost on a 55-yard field goal to Clemson after being down 17 and coming back to tie it.
In a conference championship.
Correct. None of those teams are playing that weekend. So I think what this format did is it showed you that it works. There are flaws, and it will be changed. And I do think that we need to expand it a little bit more. However, I'm still fine leaving it at 12, but my biggest issue right now with this is that I don't really like the idea of the conference champion getting the automatic buys, because look at Oregon. Oregon's undefeated, 13-0, the number 1 overall seed. You can argue that they have the toughest path to the national championship game just to even get there, because they're going to play the best matchup between the two teams, like the two most equal matchup in Ohio State and Tennessee. Then if they win that game, then they have to more than likely play Texas in the semifinal. And then on the other side of the bracket, you're either getting Georgia, you're getting Penn State, more than likely, that gave you an absolute run for your money in the Big Ten title game. I think they kind of got screwed a little bit in this.
Yeah, you know what you're not mentioning there? You know where that semifinal game against potentially Texas would be?
Probably in Jerry World in the Cotton Bowl, right?
In Arlington, Texas.
That's
so Oregon would have to
brutal.
play
That's
Texas
brutal.
in Arlington.
That is brutal.
The number
Here's
1
the thing,
seed.
though. Here's the thing. This is playoff football. Like, get used to it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable playing good teams, because you're here now. This is what you asked for, and you're here. So I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for Oregon. Hunter, where I disagree with you is I think they still need to reward the conference champions with buys, because if you don't, then the conference championships don't mean anything.
So my only rebuttal to that is that I would say I do think the conference champions deserve that automatic bid. I don't necessarily know if they get the automatic bye, but then I like what you're saying is that it makes sense if you earn that bye by winning your conference championship, because if you do it in the reverse way of we're going to let the conference champions in and then rank the 12 best teams or the 16 best teams or whatever they expand it to, then the argument becomes, well, why does so-and-so who didn't play in a conference championship game get a bye over this team that won their conference championship game, even though their conference is weaker than the other conference?
Bingo. It's because of the unbalanced schedules. We have all these mega conferences. So there's not enough games to go around. So you can't play everybody in your league. And because you can't play everybody in your league, the schedules are never going to be equal. And so Oregon has a very good resume. They won every single game, and yet they have to play maybe a team with one of the second or third best resumes in Ohio State. Second, if they win, that I think you have to reward your top teams. I think if the regular season, as college football states, is as important as it says it is, you need to reward what teams do in the regular season. So my fix would be to put all your conference champions in, and then when you have your 12 teams, you reseed them based on their ranking, because you have to, because the schedules are so unbalanced, you have to take that into consideration when you're looking at the resumes for the teams. I don't think Alabama deserved to be in over SMU. I don't totally believe that Alabama would definitely beat SMU. SMU is the fourth best offense in college football. I mean, I don't know. They lost to Oklahoma by 21 points. I think SMU's better than Oklahoma. So, no, I don't think they got the teams wrong. I don't love the seeding because I don't think Arizona State's the fourth best team in college football right now. I also don't think that Boise State's the third best team in college football. I think you should put your conference champs in, but I do think you need to seed accordingly based on the resumes a little
Right.
bit more because the schedules are so unbalanced.
Right, Zach. And I think that I wasn't really defending the college football playoff. I was just saying with the current format, you have to reward the conference champions that way. But I think the easy fix would just be go to 16 teams and then no one has a bye.
No one has a bye. Yeah.
No one has a bye, and then you can just seed the teams fairly based on how they do during the entire season.
People will still complain about seedings at that point.
Or you could, after this first round, Oregon gets the lowest seed remaining.
Yeah, you reseed it.
You could reseed it, do that. I
But
don't know.
the problem with that is that they're not pro teams, like they're colleges, and that it's not that easy.
So right now the CFP is locked into 12 teams until 2026. And right now the discussion based on the director of CFP, I forget what his name is, he's a big old guy, Michigan guy, I think, is going to 14 teams. So they're not even talking about going to 16 right now. They're just talking about adding 2 more, which I don't think solves any issues.
Would that give you 2 buys?
I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. That's a weird number to me.
The first year with 12 was always going to be a question mark.
100%.
And all things considered, if you want to argue Alabama or one of those other teams, okay, fine. If we're taking 11 out of 12 that they got right,
that's pretty
in
good.
year one, that's a win to me, man. And I've heard everybody
92%.
from Nick Saban to Kirby Smart to Steve Sarkisian all crying about how unfair it was. And first of all, Steve Sarkisian, like,
Get
my
over it.
man, yeah, like, you had a chance, you were in control of it, and then you guys screwed it up with 11 penalties and 3 turnovers. Like, so sorry about you. I don't understand what Kirby Smart's argument is. You're a 2-loss team with the number 2 seed in the country, dude. Like, I don't understand all the complaining at this point. You're in the playoff. Go play the team in front of you and beat them. It's that simple.
He was upset about the road games, and they played like 8 games in the state of Georgia. I don't really understand that this year. I think the 12 teams are 100% correct. I don't think they got any
I
part
don't either. And you can debate seeding all day long. But what the whole thing is designed to do is decide a true champion. And that's what it's going to do. Whoever comes out of this thing, they earned it, man.
This is going to be awesome, too. These games are going to be great.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I think you are definitely going to say whoever wins this, they are the true champion, regardless of what the record is, regardless of how they got there, regardless.
Nobody's
of the path.
arguing anymore. You know what I mean?
It is going to do that. I do think I kind of like Cameron's idea of going to 16 and just no buys. Your conference champions get in, and even at 16, maybe let's let 2 group of 5 conference champions in. Your 2 highest group, because I mean, Army didn't deserve to be in, but by God, why not let them in? They're 11-1. They won the American. They have a good record. They did play at Notre Dame. They didn't win, but I mean, they played them somewhat competitive. Like, if you had 16 teams, you can probably let 1 more automatic bid go in there as a 2 group of 5s to go in there. Then that would reward your 1 and your 2 seeds having to play maybe a group of 5 as, your 2 lowest seeds there. But I do think that there's always going to be debate. I do think that going to 12 was the right move. I definitely think the playoff committee got it right, regardless of what anybody else thinks, and regardless of the statements that everybody's been making about strength of schedule and the conference imbalances. And my thought about that is that I don't think some of those teams are taking those comments of saying we're just going to start scheduling FCS teams as their as their non-cons. I think what they're trying to say is that maybe the SEC and the Big Ten are moving forward on trying to take their ball and go home and just form their own thing, where it's like an NFC and AFC thing, which I think would be really bad for college football. And that would be worse than scheduling FCS teams as all your non-conference games, because I do think you need to reward teams that play those challenging games, but also, too, a lot of the gripes that everybody was having that missed the playoff, you lost your games in conference.
Bingo.
Like, that is your thing. So, like, yeah, it was great.
Alabama playing Mercer isn't what screwed them. Alabama getting rolled up by Jackson Arnold is what screwed them.
100%. 100%. That's what screwed them. And, I mean, I think the comments that were made by Alabama, I think it was coming from a place of other teams are going to see this, and maybe we even do it as well, is that we are going to make our non-conference games not matter at all, which I don't think.
They didn't matter this year.
They didn't.
They played Western Kentucky and Mercer. What are you going to do, play Mercer again?
They're tough. The toughest
this year.
non-conference game was Wisconsin. So, I mean, like, it's not it.
Yeah. 5-7 Wisconsin.
And Alabama's always done that.
Yes.
They always play a cupcake in November. I don't.
But when you're Alabama, you don't have to. You just have to not get rolled up by Diego Pavia and Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
That's it.
I do think, though, I will say this is even now. This is me being a Mississippi State fan. We won 2 games, but I do think the SEC needs to go to 9 conference games. Just go to 9 conference.
Every league should.
Yeah,
Just
go to 9 conference games. Every league should. I think that's the first step in somewhat balance.
10.
Yeah,
Play 10.
Yeah, start balancing this out a little bit. Make every single conference have the same amount of conference games, whether it's 8, whether it's 9, whether it's 10, whether it's you play everybody in your conference and then you send your best 2 or your best 3 to the playoff, whatever it is.
I want to throw something else out there that we haven't yet gotten to. Boise State has a bye as the number 3 seed in the country.
Yep.
Is that correct?
It is.
I'm correct in saying that. That's the end of the Heisman conversation.
100%.
He's not winning it, dude. They're going to give it to Travis Hunter.
That should absolutely be the end of that conversation.
Should be, but he's not going to do it. I don't know who.
Every single team game planned around that guy. They built their whole defensive scheme around that guy, and then he still torched them for 225 or 275 or 300 yards. He is the freaking best player in the country, dude. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know who quote tweeted it or who said it, but there was a tweet that went viral. It was like, no Heisman Trophy winners ever played in the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, Robert Griffin would like a word. He did play there.
Didn't he? Oh man,
They weren't a great team.
Damn Twitter for being wrong, I guess. Come on, Elon, be better.
I think my biggest gripe, or my only gripe, I would say, with the playoff is Penn State has an arguably better, quicker, easier road to a semifinal than Oregon. And I just don't love that. Like Penn State didn't play Oregon in the regular season. They didn't play Indiana in the regular season. They didn't play Iowa. They didn't play Michigan. They didn't play like 5 of the 6 top teams in the Big Ten in the regular season.
Dude, I love that SMU Penn State matchup.
Their road to the Big Ten title game, just wasn't as hard as even Ohio State's schedule. So I don't love that Penn State feels like they have an easier road than the best team in college football this year. I do wish we could reward that a little bit better, but these 12 teams are this is awesome. I'm so freaking excited for this.
I mean, obviously outside of the Texas matchup for me, but that SMU matchup with Penn State, man, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh, it's going to be so fun. I love Indiana, Notre Dame.
You just said SMU. I think a lot of people are still riding well, they're not a real team. They were in the ACC championship. They're a real team.
They're a real team.
But I love that the teams that, when a year ago, 2 years ago, when we would have had this conversation, they wouldn't have belonged anywhere near that conversation. SMU, Indiana, Boise State, Arizona State.
Love it.
I love that they're all going to get a shot at it. That's what it's about.
I'm telling you what, Arizona State's going to be tough out too. Scattaboo, and you did, Hunter. I don't know how you did it, but they're really, really tough. They're tough.
I do want to point out, I looked at the game log for Scattaboo, and look, Scattaboo's great. I'm not saying he's not, but I will say Scattaboo had 80 more yards versus Mississippi State than any other team that he faced this season.
Not an accident.
Well, okay, what an accident.
And he toted the rock over 30 times against Mississippi State.
Sounds more
Literally,
like tackle state.
I woke up in the middle of the night after that game with night sweats. All I hear was the PA announcer, Scattaboo on the carry. Like, I was scared. No, when you're when you watch football and you're watching with somebody that doesn't really understand, like they have an idea of what's going on, but like they just watch because you're interested in it. That's my wife. She kind of understands what's going on, but she doesn't really know what's going on. We're in the stadium watching Mississippi State get shredded by this guy, and she looks at me and she says two things. Number one, who's our defensive coordinator? Because we need to fire him. That was in game 2. And then she goes,
that was before you beat UMass.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the second
season hadn't even peaked yet.
And then the second thing she said is she looked at me and she goes, I don't know who that Scattaboo guy is, but he is unstoppable. They need to go. They can't stop him. And she was right. Like, they just could not do it.
The second best running back in the country, and it's not close.
Not even close. It's
close.
unbelievable. And I think, like, when you look at all the bad of the transfer portal, there is good, and Cam Scattaboo is the good. Because, I mean, you got a kid that came from Sac State. He gets an opportunity at Arizona State, and now everybody knows his name. The dude is really, really fun, and it's awesome that Arizona State is in this thing. It's awesome that they're going to get a chance to play Texas or Clemson, and they are going to get a chance to prove themselves. I mean, it is kind of crazy that, you know, we said, like, all these schools, like Arizona State, last year they won 3 games. Indiana last year, I think they also won 3 games. Boise State would have never been in this opportunity before. So that is the beauty of expanding. And it doesn't matter what you expand it to, because, I mean, we had that conversation last week. If we expand it to 80 teams, Team 81's like, what the hell? So it doesn't really matter. The one thing I do want to touch on before we kind of wrap up here is that I do find it funny that how the comparisons of who is in and who's not in between SMU and Bama, people were screaming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Everybody kind of just forgot about Indiana, because Indiana, to me, they're in a prove-it spot because they also had a very easy, very light Big Ten schedule. Now they're getting to go play Notre Dame, and so everybody was like, SMU shouldn't be in. Why are they in? They went and played for a conference championship game, and Indiana was just sitting there like, well, we played one tough game all year and barely beat Michigan, which before they beat Ohio State really wasn't saying much, but everybody just kind of forgot about Indiana. And I feel like Indiana could have been argued of being on the line of getting in and getting not in.
I have a hot take.
Let's go.
And this is going to frustrate some people. If you take the logo on the helmet off the table, if that doesn't matter and you're only going off of resume, SMU and Texas had a very similar resume. So don't tell me Texas deserves to be there and SMU doesn't. Very similar resume.
I don't think Texas had a strong resume at all.
Mm-mm.
No, they didn't.
But for all the people saying Alabama should have been there over SMU, if you take SMU out of that, you have to take Texas out of it. Because to me, if you take the logo off the helmet, they're the exact same team. Texas has more talent, but their resume is the exact same thing.
And I'll say this.
I mean, Texas avoided quite a bit of power.
Yeah.
Right? In the regular season.
And so I'll
didn't play Missouri, didn't play Alabama.
Didn't play Ole Miss.
Their best SEC win was Texas A&M.
And they didn't play Ole Miss either.
No. So they have no ranked opponents, no currently ranked opponents
they don't
that they beat. And they're a 2-loss team that lost in the conference championship. They're the same team as SMU, dude.
So they got boat raced with Georgia having their starting quarterback, and they lost to Georgia barely with their backup quarterback.
Gunnar Stockton.
That game was awesome, by the way.
It was a great game.
I was ready to turn it off 3 times, and Texas just kept making a game.
I would have died if I was a fan of one of those 2 teams. But
if it had been playoffs are on the line, lose and go home type deal, it would have been a lot more frustrating. But at that point, we knew they were both in.
I'll say this, though. I like your point about SMU and Texas if you take the logo off. Here's my only gripe with the seeding. Penn State got the best path, I think, at least to the semifinal. What you could have done, I think, though, instead of putting Penn State at 6, why not leave Penn State at 5 and drop Texas to 6? Then you have SMU versus Texas in Austin. And if SMU goes in that hypothetical game and then beats Texas, they can give the biggest middle finger to the SEC and say,
because
you don't think
allegedly the committee's
now,
not thinking about those things. Allegedly, they're not thinking about potential matchups.
See, and they have to. They definitely were. I mean, they definitely were thinking about that. But like, I think Penn State should have stayed at 5 because I agree with you. I think Texas's resume and SMU's resume are very similar. So why did Penn State get dropped for Texas when you could have just moved Texas to the 6, kept Penn State at the 5? Then you got Texas versus SMU, that is, to me, it would have been
You
awesome.
won't hear any arguments from me because as a Texas fan right now, I'm really not sure I could tell you they're a top 5 team in the country.
I don't think Penn State has that great of a resume, though.
That's
I mean,
true.
it's
That's
pretty
true.
good. It's pretty good, but I mean, they lose to Ohio State. They didn't play Oregon. They didn't play Indiana. I mean,
who was their one conference loss to?
The Ohio State.
Ohio State.
They lost to Ohio State and they lost to Oregon.
And then they lost to Oregon in the champ game. Yeah. So
that's the way it goes sometimes, man.
Yeah. It's the hard part about giving all the value to conference championship games when you have such an unbalanced schedule. That's the challenging part you have to deal with or figure out.
Remember back in week 2 or whatever when Texas played Michigan, who was the defending national champs, and I said on the podcast then, I don't know that win's going to age super well for them. Turns out it was a brutal loss for Ohio State.
That's not Texas's fault.
No.
You know? And so that's
scheduled
the
years
other
ago.
thing. That's the other thing is I don't want to blame any of these teams for it. It's the system we're still trying to figure out the best way to do a 12 system.
I like the 12 teams. I like the matchups. I'm excited about it.
Yep.
Me too. It's going to be awesome.
And my favorite matchup, we didn't even talk about it. I cannot wait to see Tennessee fans invade the Horseshoe.
Yes.
They're going to hear Rocky Top so freaking much. It's going to be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
The last time Ohio State was at home, they were getting booed off the field because they lost to Michigan.
Dude, I'm so ready for them to boo their head coach on the 3rd series of the game.
No,
I'm telling you, if they go 3 and out,
pandemonium, baby.
Man,
that's the point that Herbstreit made on game day, or when the bracket got revealed, is that I think Ohio State should be on the road. They would be better on the road because that's going to happen. That's absolutely going to happen. But
I love that Herbstreit mentioned that on the same day his kid committed to Michigan.
Oh, that's funny too.
That is so funny.
That's absolutely funny. All right, but yeah, that's the college football playoff. We got this thing's going to last all the way till January 20th, so we got plenty of time to break this down and talk about it.
Are we predicting anything before we get out of this one? Should we predict our first round games?
Nah, not yet. Not yet. We got to plug the website somehow because that's a part of our bowl pick'em. So I do want to mention a couple of bowl games that I circled here before we hang a banner and get off of this episode. We do still have bowl games. Just for the uninformed fans, we do have bowl games. Here are my notes that I wrote on all of the bowl games that I have. First off, check us out, PressBoxAfterDark. We do all of our blogs there. We have Jordan's 3 Up 3 Down blog. We have Zach's Double Doink NFL blog. I just finished up our college football pick'em blog, but now I'm going to transition into our bowl pick'em blog, covering all of our bowl games, doing all of our bowl coverage. I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. I love bowl season more than anything, even with all the opt-outs and all the craziness. Here are the bowl games that I circled that just are just sticking out to me that are just hilarious. Obviously, we're going to start first with the Game Above Sports Bowl. What the hell is that? What is that?
I don't even know what that means.
Don't even know where it is. Pitt and Toledo. I hope Pitt beats Toledo for what they did to my team so bad. Game Above Sports Bowl. Don't know what that is. This bowl right here, this is showing you that the economy is really in the toilet because it's no longer the guaranteed rate bowl. It is just the rate bowl. So that's a problem. We need to fix that. It's just the rate bowl. That is Rutgers and Kansas State. That is gross, and I can't wait to watch it.
Is that the name of the White Sox field in Chicago?
Maybe so. Guaranteed rate.
Yeah, guaranteed rate.
Well, this is just rate. There's no guarantee.
Brutal.
That's crazy. Vanderbilt is in a bowl game for the first time maybe ever, and the best the SEC could do was send them to freaking Birmingham. Like, they're stuck in the Birmingham Bowl against Georgia Tech. That's awful. That's on you, Greg Sankey. That's bad.
They're Vanderbilt. Who cares?
Everybody is anticipating this game maybe more than the national championship itself, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, because there's a poll going on right now of what flavor will be consumed by the winning team. If there is ever a sponsor, I know we've legit make jokes about it. It's a running bit on this show that if you're listening, if this podcast could get a media pass to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I would end the podcast immediately as long as Landon got his money back for what he's invested in us. That would be a dream. I love the Pop-Tarts Bowl so much. The 3 flavors are wild berry, hot fudge sundae, and frosted cinnamon roll. Who even cares who's playing? But it's actually Iowa State and Miami. What a fall from grace Miami gets in that one.
I heard that they only credential podcast members who have podcasts under 35 minutes.
And with that, it's a good time to use the mute button. So y'all check us out on Pressbox After Dark, Twitter, PressboxAD, and have a good one.
This is the Pressbox After Dark podcast. You can catch all of our podcast episodes on Spotify and Apple Music. We are also on YouTube at Pressbox After Dark. You're seeing this beautiful video on YouTube with the technical difficulties all left in because why not just leave them in? But please subscribe to us on YouTube. We are Pressbox After Dark. You can search for us there, and please subscribe. It's free. Just click it. Everything that we do is free, but just please click it. And the best way to communicate with us and interact with us is on Twitter at PressboxAD. In our Twitter bio is a link to our website, PressboxAfterDark.com. We have blogs. We have all of our podcasts there as well. And anything that we can come up with that we're throwing on that website. Zach does NFL coverage with Double Doink. Jordan does Major League Baseball coverage with 3 Up, 3 Down. And I am actually transitioning into college football bowl season. So bowl season coverage on there on PressboxAfterDark.com.
Wait a second. Is it bowl or bowl?
They're all the same word to me from Mississippi. But check us out, Pressbox After Dark, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Please follow. Please subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Suck it, Hunter.
That's disappointing. We didn't mute him this time.
Please don't.
It's time for the Sonic drive of the game. And perhaps as far as I'm concerned, the drive of the game may be our drive home from Starkville to Tupelo.
You can't fire me! I got a contract! I'm Ranch Wild!